everybody. Welcome to the Abroaders Travel Podcast, your weekly meetup with thousands of entrepreneurs, hustlers, creators, nomads, ninjas, wanderers, and world changers, all seeking to build the skills and connections to live a life without borders. If you want to learn more about what we do or download our entire podcast archive, check out the website, abroaders.com. Happy Wednesday morning, and welcome to another episode of the Abroaders Podcast. I'm Erik in Salvador, Brazil, checking in with AJ in Europe. Where are you again? Serbia, right?
Yes, I am in Belgrade. I am in Belgrade, Serbia.
So this is episode 111, and today AJ and I are going to be covering some news and updates, sharing some tips around renting cars and using the benefits that come with your credit card. We're also going to talk quite a bit in depth about the launch of the Abroaders app, which is coming up very soon, and we'd like to invite you to be one of the first beta testers for the app. On top of that, we also have a brand new opportunity for you to join the Abroaders team. So we've got a great show for you. And today we're going to put show notes at abroaders.com/testers.
So how you doing, man? Before we got on to record this, you were battling some big city logistics, some traffic stuff.
Man, it's been a really long time. I'm sure there's probably a lot of people that take advantage of their commute time to listen to podcasts. So if you happen to be out there stuck in traffic, I completely feel your pain, at least today. So Salvador is a pretty cool city, but it's one of the places that I would have to say has sort of the worst public transit setup of any major city that I've spent significant time in. And so I actually rented a car here. Fortunately, it's pretty cheap to get a rental car. It's going to cost me about $12.50 US per day, including all the insurance and everything, because that comes as a benefit of my card. So renting a car was actually just way better. I could spend 2 hours each day getting to the office, trying to use public transit, trying to use buses here. But today I made the mistake of trying to come back from the Regis office at rush hour. So I left, the Regis closes at 6 o'clock, and I was in standstill traffic for over an hour. And, I'm really lucky that that's, I can leave early usually or work from home and just skip that part of the day where everybody else is trying to get home. And it was an eye-opener for me to just sort of see this obviously happens in lots of big cities, but it felt particularly bad in Salvador, and it's just really tough to be sitting there. And by the way, if you pay $12.50 for a rental car, it comes with no air conditioning and no radio, and those crank windows that are really hard to put down. So it's kind of a miserable vehicle to be in wall-to-wall traffic.
Man, no radio. No AC is pretty bare bones, but no tunes. Wow, that's I don't know if I've ever seen.
It's almost like they took the radio out, like the stock radio has been removed
to
and they
allow
just
you
put
to
like
not,
a black
so you could not have the privilege. If we're giving you this good of a deal, we are not going to allow you to have any luxury.
Exactly. Yeah. So the one thing I wanted to share related to the car rental experience, and this was, we're going to see how much I end up paying for this small mistake, but it's an easy mistake to make, and I want to make sure none of you guys repeat it. So I found this really good deal that I just mentioned, the $12 a day rental. And so that was what I did, except for one day. I actually really wanted a car on Saturday. I wanted to be able to go to the beach and relax for a little bit. And the $12 a day car was not available. So I rented a different car from a different agency. And I went in. Everything was all set with my reservation. It was a really easy transaction. But what happened is the agent at the desk offered to include the insurance for free. She said, hey, listen, I see, I declined the insurance, said I don't need any additional insurance, I'm covered. And she says, well, actually, it's even cheaper. We've got this promotion going right now. It's even cheaper if I add the insurance. So let me just do that. You're going to save like 10 reais, which, by the way, is $2.50. So it's not worth saving 10 reais if the terms of your rental agreement change. And that's exactly what happened to me. And I didn't realize that I should have known, and I didn't think it through. So I always use the Chase Sapphire Preferred card when I rent a vehicle because it has primary rental insurance. So in other words, primary means that you don't have to tell your car insurance at home and they don't have to be the first one to cover. So with most credit cards, a lot of them are secondary, which means you file a claim with Allstate or Geico or whoever insures your car back in the U.S., and then the credit card covers whatever your regular car insurance company won't. Primary insurance means the credit card company is the first line of defense. So the Chase Sapphire is a great card for this. However, they require for the insurance to be in effect that you decline all optional insurance policies from the rental company. And so by allowing this person to save me a little bit of money and giving me the free insurance, what I ended up with is a policy that has a 2,000 reais deductible, which is a $500 deductible. And I got myself a big chip in the front windshield from a truck that was driving, in front of me on the highway. So I don't know what's going to happen. I said, look, this is, it's a, wear and tear type damage. And they made me write a statement about it. And they basically said, well, we'll let you know if we're going to bill you or not. But Chase Sapphire, I called them to double check. They have a zero deduction. So if I had just used my credit card insurance, I would have had to pay nothing. They cover from dollar number one. If there's any charges, they cover it. Now, by the way, this is my Chase Sapphire Preferred that I signed up for about a year and a half ago, and the terms can be different. So you need to check. You can't just rely on my experience. They can change the contracts at any time, and it's likely that not all card holders have the exact same provisions. So you should check for yourself. But the bottom line is if you accidentally say yes to rental company offered insurance, they might have a big time deductible. A lot of those insurance policies are designed to cover you if somebody totals the vehicle, but not if you get a little nick in the front windshield.
Yeah, man, that's good to know. I guess in the spirit of learning things the hard way, I have a much less expensive lesson I learned, it would have been Saturday night. So for anyone that goes to Belgrade without doing any research and wants to go out to, say, a nightclub, you may want to look into getting reservations or possibly a table. Apparently in Belgrade at nightclubs, there's literally no place to be if you don't have a table, but they don't tell you that and they let you into the club. So I went with a friend and we got in, and neither of us had been to really anywhere around here. And there's literally nowhere to stand. There's a bar that you can kind of hang out at, but it's crowded as hell. And then the whole club is filled with just like private tables. And I just had no idea it was going to be like that. There was literally not a place to even sit or stand unless you reserved a place. So I also learned the hard way. If you go to a nightclub in Belgrade, make reservations, apparently.
Wow, that's really interesting. I know that that's kind of a culture in Ho Chi Minh City as well. It's certainly not a situation where there's nowhere else to be. But I remember kind of feeling in a lot of clubs and bars that they were just sort of like really expecting you to buy a $500 bottle or something. There's lots of cool places to go out and have a good time in Ho Chi Minh City that aren't like that. But some of the clubs that are a little bit nicer, especially a lot of the rooftop bars, that seems to be the attitude. I mean, they kind of looked appalled that you ordered a Heineken.
This was to the extreme. But the weird thing is, it wasn't an overly pretentious place. The drinks were like American pub prices. I mean, I don't know, a beer was probably $2 or $3, and you could get cocktails anywhere from in the $3 to $10, depending on how souped up or how fancy you wanted to get. Like, it wasn't a super expensive place because Belgrade's quite affordable. It was just like the logistics. There was not a place to be. It was so bizarre. And when I walked in, the guy asked me, like, do you have reservations? And I'm like, no. And then he kind of gives me a look. And then he just kind of passes me in. And then I'm like, okay, I guess that foreshadowed my fate of having no damn place to be.
Wow, man, really interesting. I mean, I guess, really the only thing you can do is just play it by ear and learn from experience. So definitely got that in my notebook for club or bar experiences for Belgrade. Let's jump into some news, man. We got quite a bit of interesting, useful stuff to cover here. Do you want to take the lead?
Yeah, absolutely. So the first thing is a really nice infographic that Travel is Free made for all of us that is going to help us make sense of hotel points. Hotel points are typically not as high value as frequent flyer points, so they get neglected a little bit. And this infographic is very, very comprehensive. We'll link to it in the show notes. It shares things about perks of status, different hacks and ways to find hotels you can book with points that are on Travel and Leisure's top 500 list, and which currency you need, and which actual properties they are. It's just a really nice breakdown of all the different types of points, a list of credit cards that earn these points. If you just kind of skim through this infographic, it's a really great 80-20 way to kind of get up to speed on hotel points. If you really don't know anything about hotel points, it's like just a one-stop shop to get hotel points 101 in. So we'll link to that in the show notes. And thank you. I forget the guy's name.
That's awesome.
Who does Drew? Yeah, Drew from Travel is Free. So Drew, thank you for
Travel is Free. Yeah, he's a legend. Man, by the way, so I actually got to meet him in Dallas at the Frequent Traveler University event. And he's a really nice guy and just like generally trying to help everybody. And a couple other resources just to be aware of on the Travel is Free site. He's also got a map of every single major hotel that's part of one of the big loyalty programs. So he's got Club Carlson, Choice, IHG, Hyatt, Marriott, Hilton, and Starwood. He's got maps that are sorted essentially by level. So you can see the bottom tier properties like the category 1s and 2s that are very few points, and you can filter by that. So you can see immediately whether the country that you're planning to travel has any super cheap places in the category 1 or 2 that you could use points. So it's a really fast way to filter through. And so I highly recommend you guys check that out. The other thing that's cool about this infographic, I don't know if you saw this, AJ, is that he actually shows you the sign-up bonuses in terms of the number of free nights at the bottom tier properties and the top tier. So in other words, you can kind of see like based on your preference, if you're looking for, the Intercontinental Hong Kong, you can see how many nights at that joint you're going to get. And you can also see how many nights you'd get at like the bottom of the rung Holiday Inn, but maybe that's still close to downtown and still going to be a great value for your money. So it's pretty cool to be able to compare sign-up bonus and sort of see where your points are going to get you with those.
Yeah, man, this is really slick. Everyone, if you're interested in hotel points, definitely give this a peek.
Awesome. So the next one is actually just a really quick announcement. Always love to see new routes opening up. There's two things that are kind of important about new routes. Number one, it's just kind of one additional thing to put in your database of ways to get from A to B. In this case, we've got TAP Portugal opening up a new route between Lisbon and Boston, which is going to start in June of this summer, and another route from Lisbon to New York City. And so one of the reasons that this is super powerful is that the route here is going to be, it's going to give 2 additional spots where they're going to potentially open up a bunch of business class seats all at once. So I'm not totally sure if they're currently opening. I didn't have a chance to actually look through this before the show and see if the award seats are usually available. Generally, that lags a couple of weeks to a month behind when they announce a route. But also, obviously with routes that have been in existence, people are just slowly but surely chipping away at that inventory. And when a new route gets announced, a lot of times there's additional seats that aren't there on the existing routes in the first few days. So if you're looking at flying from the East Coast of the US to Europe sometime this summer, that could be a really good opportunity to sort of monitor and just keep track, see when those actually open up, and be in a good position to grab business class seats before everybody else realizes that the route's open.
Yeah, and TAP is a member of the Star Alliance for those that were unaware.
Yep, and one last thing is that they've got really nice connections out of Lisbon. I've connected through Lisbon to like 4 different cities in Europe. I've never actually gotten out of the airport, unfortunately, but it's a good hub to arrive in. And it makes for a pretty easy connection to lots of places, especially if you're going relatively short distance to Spain or Germany. The places further east in Europe can be a little bit trickier and might require one extra stop in Europe. But Lisbon's generally a pretty nice place to arrive. And also, this always counts for something, is the immigration process. In my experience, then there has been very, very simple, straightforward, no lines, no ridiculous questions. It's a big difference between them and like going through Germany, where they want to know like what you're planning to name your firstborn child.
Oh, that's great. Some news on the credit card front. There is a nice opportunity with a Chase referral bonus right now for the Sapphire card. So you can get 10,000 points if you refer the Sapphire card to anyone, really. It can be friends or family, acquaintances. Now, this is capped at 50,000 points, but it's still really nice. 10,000 points is definitely you know, that's a real amount of points. So if you have, friends that you're going to be doing travel hacking with, or your spouse, and you're going to be signing up for this card, definitely at least let somebody get the referral bonus. And if you are a travel hacking leader amongst your friends and family, definitely have them support your travel hacking goals in the form of signing up through the referral link, so you can get some points in return for helping them get the right card for them.
Another really important news item for Chase, and I don't think we covered this on last week's show, so I wanted to make sure that we discussed it. So we've talked before that the Chase Sapphire card is subject to what's being called the 524 rule, which basically means you can't have 5 or more applications in the last 24 months with any bank and still get approved for the Chase Sapphire. So basically, if you've got 4 credit card applications in the last 24 months, you're good to go. Then came some much, much darker news, and that is that Chase is applying this to all of their cards. That's going to include the Southwest Business and Personal Card. It's going to include the United Explorer Business and Personal Card. It's going to include the Hyatt and the Marriott cards and the IHG card for hotels. And just basically any co-branded card is now going to be subject to this same rule. Probably this is going to kick in April. There have been a few posts about it. We'll link to some of the resources that we use. Like many things with banks, there's no real definitive answer until they say, this is the new policy. And a lot of times they don't even say that. They just make it the policy, and you kind of have to find out by trial and error. So we've heard that this is true. We've heard it from several credible sources. So if you're looking at applying for any Chase card, you want to do it in the next couple months if you've got a lot of applications. Now, if you're below the 3 or 4 mark, you don't have to panic and move right away. You can still wait and potentially apply for those cards later on in the year. But just remember, once you pass 5, you're not going to be able to get any new Chase cards, assuming this does actually come to fruition, until those old inquiries drop off. So basically, you're limited to a couple of applications per year if you want to continue to apply for Chase cards. So it's going to be interesting to see how this applies. There still doesn't seem to be any rule about this for the other major lenders. So Barclays, Citi, American Express, Bank of America, U.S. Bank. As far as we know, nobody's followed the lead, but this could mean that people have to slow down quite a bit on the front of applying for new sign-up bonuses, at least with Chase, and consider some other strategies like manufacturing spend to get more points if you don't already have a lot of regular spending.
Nice segue there, buddy, because speaking of manufactured spend, and man, before I deliver this news, all I could think about is just how just lush of clickbait this could be. Get paid to do manufactured spending. So where am I going with this? OfficeMax launches a rewards program. And the interesting thing about this rewards program is they offer different tiers of rewards, but at the very least, you get 2% rewards on everything. And for those manufactured spending enthusiasts, that means gift cards. So essentially, you're getting rewards on buying gift cards that I believe you can actually use those rewards to buy gift cards. I'm not positive on this, but I think the way the program works is you essentially get like store credits, and that would mean that you could, I believe, get gift cards with that. But at the very least, you do earn rewards on the purchase of gift cards if you enroll in the OfficeMax rewards program. So that was pretty interesting. My take on this is that it won't last forever, because it seems like those manufactured spend things that just mathematically just are, it just doesn't make sense that that's going to be sustainable, but definitely interesting. And if you're into manufactured spend, this is a nice thing to take advantage of to kind of double dip.
Yeah, absolutely. I read through this post, and these sorts of things tend to develop over time. A lot of times you find out that some stores are sort of following the rules to the letter, and gift cards are possible. And then you find out that some stores are not, or even worse, it's a free for all. And then at some point, some stores start limiting particular manufactured spend type purchases. And then you're just kind of in a position where you're looking to find, if your store has now eliminated the loophole. Not. So the main takeaway here is if you live in a place where OfficeMax is an option, you should absolutely go check it out and just see what you can get away with. Obviously, the one caveat here is never spend more than you can afford to pay off next month. Credit card interest is a huge, huge killer. It's going to wipe out all the value from your points. So if you're going to experiment with this, do it at a level that you're comfortable with and be ready to just, if it doesn't work out and you're not able to extract that value from the gift cards or you're not able to get it back, don't go do $20,000 worth of gift card purchases and then be upset, that something didn't work out as you planned. You want to start slow, you want to ease into it, but definitely this is not the type of thing that generally lasts a long time. So go check it out, see what's going on at your store, and please let us know. It would be great. We're obviously, AJ and I are both out of the US, so we can't verify any of this ourselves, but we've got a great community out there. So if you do get an inside scoop on what's going on by going to your local office supply store, we'd love to hear from you. And also don't forget that the Chase Ink card, if you've got one, is going to get 5x points on office supply purchases. So that's definitely the card you're going to want to be using if you're checking this out.
That's how you layer it, man. That's how you laminate it.
All right. So the last thing that we wanted to mention, now AJ did a really nice segment last week talking about the Iceland program, where the Iceland Air was going to basically let you do this layover with a local. So if you were connecting in Iceland on the way to mainland Europe, you were going to get some pretty cool benefits to be able to check out Iceland during your stopover. And it looks like KLM is following their lead. So as of now, valid for passengers departing from the US or Canada, or Italy between March 22nd and May 31st of this year can register up to 36 hours before their layover with KLM. And the airline is going to cover the cost of your train ticket into the city, as well as a round of drinks at one of their approved bars. That's pretty nice perk. And everything else is at your own expense. But the process is handled through the app. So you're going to be able to sign up, get instructions on where to meet, how to get the voucher for the free drinks, etc. Sounds like a pretty cool opportunity. Definitely, if I were planning on traveling on KLM, it would be something I'd be interested in. AJ, do you know if this is, number one, restricted for where you're laying over with KLM? Does this have to be in Amsterdam? Can it be, I think that's where at least one of their hubs is. Can it be anywhere? And secondly, do you know if this applies to award tickets as well as paid travel?
You know what? I didn't read the fine print about that. I would imagine that award travel, it would work. As far as the different locations, I'm guessing that this is going to be just in the Netherlands. Just thinking logistically about if they need people to essentially be on the other side of the app, the people that are going to be the locals or whatever. So I'm guessing it's not all the places that KLM services. And this also seems like some type of initiative like Iceland was doing, kind of to promote tourism and promote the country in which they conduct business and are based. So my guess would be that it's just in the Netherlands and airports they service in the Netherlands, but I'm not positive. I can look into that, and if we find anything that's big news, we can toss it in the show notes before we publish this.
Awesome. And again, one more time, wrapping up the news and updates section, any of the links that are relevant to the stuff we've talked about so far, you can find at abroaders.com/testers. Okay, man. So we've got some pretty exciting news to cover with respect to our app. Let's dive into it and talk a little bit about what's going to be happening in the next couple of months with the Abroaders app as far as helping people get more value out of their points and get their travel destinations, get their travel dreams to come to reality a little bit faster and a little bit more efficiently.
Yeah. So first, man, you want to talk about what's going to be, what are these features going to be, and how we're going to help simplify travel for people, and then after that we can talk about what we're offering to the listeners.
Yeah. So I guess first of all, to take one step back, for those of you who haven't caught every episode, back in December, Abroaders hired a CTO to help us build a web and eventually mobile app that make it a lot easier for you to manage your progress towards travel hacking goals. And so the big picture here is that we've already sort of pieced together a lot of this and sort of validated that tons of people are hungry to get more help to make better decisions and to stretch their points further so that they can travel more, or that they can travel in more luxury, to sort of, if you're only able to travel once a year, obviously it would be awesome to be able to travel in business class instead of being jammed into economy. And so that was the goal. We want to democratize travel. We want to be able to help people at scale. So it's been amazing, first of all, by the way, to work with many of you out there with our concierge travel service. And for AJ and I and Janelle and Rosie and the rest of our team to one-on-one work with people to walk them through this. And we don't see that part going away anytime soon. But the mission of democratizing travel and truly making an impact is something that we have to build a tool that can help people do. We can't help tens of thousands of people travel more and get upgraded to business and first class, doing it one person on one person, helping coach through. And so the goal of this app is to give you the information that you need, the same information that our experts use to walk people through the process, and put it at your fingertips so you can make the right decisions. And so I guess, AJ, maybe we should sort of start as well and say, this is a learning process for us. And so that's a big reason why we wanted to invite you guys to sign up for the app today. Right now, we don't have the app live. We're probably looking at sometime in early to mid-April is sort of our target date to bring on our first users. But the main goal here is we want to show you what we've got, and we want to get your feedback and have you help us make the app even more valuable. And so today, I guess I just wanted to sort of share what we're going to hopefully include in this first edition, and a little bit more about the long-term vision, some of the other things that we think we can add to the app as we get our first users and we start to get traction.
Yeah, and if you're sold on being a beta tester and being one of the first people to get access to this app, now we did make a promise to our private paid community that those people will be the first people to test the app. So the beta testers will shortly after our paid community gets access to it, get access to this app, and we'll be able to poke around and request features and just see how much value you can get out of it, because that's the vision. But you can go to broaders.com/app, and you can provide an email address, and we will alert you when we are ready to give you access to the app.
Yeah, and also one other thing is, if you sign up for the beta test, you are going to get quite a bit more information from us about what's going on in the process. And there's probably some components of this that we're going to want your feedback on even before we start inviting people to create their accounts and sign up. So this is a really good way if you're interested in the work that we've been doing at Broaders. This is a cool way that you can participate and sort of be part of the process. Let's talk about the vision for the beta test. What are the first features that we're planning on rolling out? And just to kind of give people an idea of the problems we've identified that we're going to try and solve for people.
Yeah, absolutely. So obviously there's a big grand vision in the future, and there's so many things and so many features that can help us all. But we want to start with the minimum viable amount of features that will ultimately help you take your travel plans and realize them in the form of transforming your spending into that boarding pass. So the main feature is going to be card tracking. So this is going to be approval negotiations, annual fee negotiations, reminders on those annual fees, and then also eligibility offers based on the cards that you have. So if there's big time credit card offers, being notified on those. So you're going to have all of your cards tracked in here. And if we know which cards you have, that means we know which cards you don't have. And that'll allow us to cross-reference things in our database and provide you really good insights and information and recommendations.
All right. And so to dive just a little bit deeper on that, and the reason that we've got the card tracking in there, at this point right now, we've got really solid information about what is actually required to be eligible for certain offers. So to just sort of help you see how this is going to make a big impact for you, we already have a ton of offers that we're keeping track of, and we know when they're at higher than usual, and we know when they're at sort of lower than usual, or not their optimal offer. And we also have really good data on how many days you have to wait between a personal application, how many days you have to wait between a business application. Unfortunately, lots of those things depend on which bank. And so what we're looking to do is basically allow you to put all the cards that you currently have, and we can do all the work for you of saying, these are the cards that you're eligible for. Oh, and by the way, these are the ones that are way better right now than they normally are. This is sort of your ideal next step. Now, that would be really powerful, but the thing that we think is actually even more important is being able to combine that with your current travel plans. So all of these extra points are not going to help you if you don't have any plans, or if we're totally ignoring what you actually want to do with those points and just trying to get you as many points just for the sake of getting points. So the other super important part is to be able to track your travel goals. And as you guys probably know, if you've been listening for a while, you can actually book your travel up to a year in advance with most programs. And what that means is that you've got a really nice lead time where any travel that you're planning, let's say in the next 18 months, now is a perfect time for you to start positioning to get the right points for those trips. So basically, we're going to take what AJ talked about with the card tracking and recommending or putting those huge sign-up offers in front of you when you're eligible for them. And we're going to combine that with what we know about the type of points that you can use to get to the location you want to go to. So if you've got plans, for example, to go from the US to Europe, we're going to be saying, okay, hey, there's that new TAP route that goes from Boston to New York. From Boston to Lisbon, and we're going to take a look at that and say, okay, how many points are you going to need to get that in business class, and how many points is that going to be with your American miles, how many points with your United miles, how many points with your Delta miles, and basically put all that together to combine the two so that you're working towards a travel goal. So that's sort of the big picture, and we're super excited. George has been working his butt off trying to get this up and ready to go, and every time I look at it, every time I log in, it's looking more like what's been in my head for the last year. So it's super exciting, and I'm really happy to be able to invite you guys and start sort of getting everybody to get on that list so that we can keep you updated and get you into the process of testing out the app and help you get value from it as quickly as possible.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, the big picture is the idea of this app, this platform, whatever you want to call it, is just tying all of the pieces of the puzzle together and letting computers do what computers should do, which is calculate things, not have us calculating crazy things like I've got incoming points that should hit in 45 days and I'm eligible for 50,000 points and I want business class, it's going to be that many points. It's time. It's time that we allow the machines to be machines so we can do fun stuff like actually enjoy travel. The final thing that this first version of the app is going to do is points tracking, and not just in the sense of telling you exactly how many points you have. That is an important component. This will show you where you are with what points you have, but also which points you should get next. And it's also going to guide you on a path to diversification and balanced based on your travel plans, because we know that's very important. If you have a diversified portfolio of points, that's going to give you access to all of the alliances, which means more routes, which means more availability, and possibly better in-flight experiences. And then also, we're going to help you protect your points with alerts about devaluations or any changes in the points. A really prime example of a valuable alert you could get was when American Express devalued the transfer to British Airways. So it was no longer transferring at the same ratio. That's very important stuff to know, where if you've got a trip in mind that you were going to transfer and book with, you need to do that before there's a devaluation. And there's a lot of other things that we can provide insights for you with that, but ultimately we're going to help you protect your points and give you information that is valuable to make the most out of the existing points you have, because as we know, over time they do dilute in value a little bit with changes.
Yeah, awesome, man. I think the biggest takeaway, and we wanted to sort of try and focus on the first things that we were going to bring to the table with the beta test, but the other, I guess, sort of core thing that we want to help you guys do is make the right decision about when to use points. Now, it's going to take us a little bit longer, I think, to get this up and running, and we're going to be learning from our users as well. But one of the core underlying principles of what we do on a daily basis with our own flights, with our customers' flights, is every time we've talked about this before, we take a look at how much it would cost to buy the ticket. And we take a look at whether that's a good route, whether it's a 50-hour travel day or if it's a 12-hour travel day. And then we look at the same thing with points, and we see, okay, you could do it with British Airways, you could do it with United, you could do it with American. Which is the best route, which leaves you in the best position for your next flight. And so that sort of core goal of giving you a decision and saying, this is what we think you should do based on all the data we've been collecting. We think that the best use right now is to use points for this trip and pay cash for this other trip, or vice versa. So that's sort of the goal we're getting to. And if you sign up to be a beta tester, one of the big advantages of being in there at the beginning is there's still parts of this that are going to be done by real people in the early stages. There's still parts of this that we're not going to just press go and all of a sudden we've got this amazing automation. We're bootstrapped, and it's really important that we get your input and we start to work through your travel challenges with you so that we can make sure that the app gives you information that you can actually use. So if you sign up and join us early on, one of the other things that you're going to see is that we're going to be sort of helping coach people through their trips and helping them use the app effectively. And that in turn is going to help us build a better app that we can use to help more people. So I can't, thank you enough if you're one of the early people that join us for this. Again, you can sign up for the beta test at abroaders.com/app, APP.
And one more thing, too, these people that sign up to be a beta tester, when we roll out this initial version of the app, you're going to have access to this for free. We're not going to charge you to use the app and poke around. What you get is an awesome, super powerful, one-of-a-kind app. And what we get is your great feedback on how to make this thing even better, which ultimately helps you. Kind of see how that cycle works. We're all in this together.
Yeah, absolutely. And obviously, at some point, we're looking to build up a base of users that we can deliver valuable services that save them even more time and money. So it's true that some versions of the app, some features are things that are going to be paid for, just like most online products. But for this early test, we're absolutely inviting people to join for free. And also, I also want to pledge that there will always be a free version of the Abroaders app. So there's always going to be, at some level, a way that you can get value for free. We really appreciate everything that the community has given back to us. And so we're going to try and find a happy medium where we can afford to continue to build and invest in things that are going to be making the app better for everybody in the future, but also providing what we can for free in a way that makes everybody get closer to that goal of cheaper travel, better travel, and more travel.
Absolutely, man.
And so we've had a lot of inquiries in the last couple of months about whether we have new apprenticeship positions opened up. And so I'm really excited to announce that we're at the point where we're looking to hire at least 3 new apprentices for a 12-week program where you're going to learn a ton of skills around travel hacking, around using and earning points. And AJ and I are going to break down 3 positions that we're looking to hire for. We may actually end up taking more than 3 of you on board, so please apply if you're interested. And this is going to be a rolling process, so it looks like these are positions that we're going to continue to want to fill. And the internship program, the 12 weeks, is not paid, but we've got some cool benefits. There are going to be some big values that we want to deliver to you. And you should also know that our hope is that this does evolve into a paid position. So we are in the process right now of bringing on board some of our last round's group of apprentices for paid positions. And that's definitely what we want to continue to do. It's been a great process for us to help educate the folks that are interested in learning more about travel hacking and find out if it's going to be a good fit for you to join us over the long term to be a part of our team. So let's jump into the positions. By the way, if you're interested in applying for any of these, you can do so at abroaders.com/apprenticeship.
The first apprenticeship we have open is for a podcast producer. So this person is going to be kind of a podcast jack of all trades. They're going to help us put together the show. Obviously, Erik and I will provide plenty of guidance as to the direction of the show and the type of shows we want to produce, but this person is going to be responsible for digging up some news and updates, kind of staying on top of what's happening in the travel hacking world and gathering all of that information, helping us create some show notes, and ultimately we're gonna cut this person loose and give them some creative free reign to do some things to promote and market the podcast, whether it's the form of getting more exposure on iTunes or anywhere the podcast is syndicated. So really, this is going to be somebody that's going to, once a week, couple days a week, be involved in helping us put together the info for the shows and ultimately syndicating the podcast.
Awesome, man. And let me just say, I'm really excited and happy to have somebody. We're looking for a super motivated, really high quality person. AJ and I put in a ton of energy into the show. And, honestly, I got to say, I think we do a pretty good job most of the time. But sometimes we finish recording a show and I wish there was a little bit more information. I wish we had a little bit more research. I wish we had a couple more links that maybe would help people get the information they really need to take action. And so, we're looking for somebody to help us fill that gap. The podcast is the core value delivery that we've committed to do for free forever. And so, having an extra teammate in there, I think you're going to learn a lot, and it's going to be a crucial role for helping us grow our business and grow helping more people travel for cheaper. So really excited to fill that position and have somebody to work with on a weekly basis. The next position is for a booking expert. So last year, 2015, we booked over 450 flights and saved $361,000 on travel. And we're looking to add another member to our booking team. So your core responsibility is going to be helping us to research and deliver award tickets for customers, help people make their points turn into travel plans, confirmed itineraries. It's a lot of work. One thing to be said is you do not have to be a complete expert to start out. So I don't want to discourage folks from applying for this position. We don't want you to be completely coming from no experience. But that being said, this is something that you can learn and pick up relatively quickly. So if you've got sort of a basic background of how points work and you've sort of experimented with some basic booking stuff, you are definitely eligible to apply for this position. Key is you're going to become an expert. You don't have to come in already an expert. So we're going to teach you what you need to know, but prior experience, having worked through some award bookings of your own or help family and friends is definitely a big advantage. And we're looking to plug you in right away. Right now, at any given time, we probably have between 30 and 50 active bookings that we're working on. And we expect in the next couple of months to more than double that number. So it's really going to be a critical role, and it's going to be frankly, a level of experience that once you've gone through this process with us, it's going to open up huge doors for you to save huge money on future bookings for yourself, your friends and family. And this is, again, a position that we're looking to fill long-term as well. So if the internship or the apprenticeship goes well, you definitely are going to be one of the first in line to join our booking team in a long-term constant position.
All right, everybody, that's going to wrap it up for this week's show. Thank you so much for being with us. This week's International Jam is from a local band here from Bahia, from Salvador, Brazil. These guys are called Baiana System, and I had the pleasure of going out to a almost free concert that they held here in Salvador in Ribeira. And it was just an amazing show. Ended up being a couple of thousand people that were packed into this really small venue. And I picked this song because this was the one that they opened with. And the band that was played before them introduced Baiana System. They came on stage and it immediately started downpouring as they opened up with this track. I hope you guys enjoy, and I definitely encourage you guys to download or purchase the rest of the Baiana System collection. It's available on iTunes and also on Spotify for those of you that are subscribing there. Thanks so much again for being with us. We will see you next week, 8 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. Wherever you are, travel safe. Hey brothers, don't be shy. Hop over to the website and join our email list for exclusive travel hacking content. If you like what we're up to, the best way you can support the show is by leaving us a 5-star review on iTunes. Lastly, we would love to hear from you, so send your show feedback to Erik or AJ at abroaders.com. We will see you next week. Quando a semente enraizou, a terra ficou contente, a chuva não só chorou. Quando a semente enraizou,